Alright guys, today we are going to film the infant station for the Peds Rodeo for you. Just in case we're not able to do the Peds Rodeo on Monday, we want you to have this as a resource to view and know a couple of skills related to infant children. So the first thing we're going to talk about is our sweet little baby and weighing it. Remember, this is a review from lecture that I did, our assessment lecture, but I want to make sure that we all have a clear understanding. So we have our scale here, and what we're going to do is push on and turn it on. We do not like to just stick our babies on a cold, germ-infested scale, so we have blue pads that we lay over our scale. So when I lay that pad down, I want to make sure that it's not impacting my weight, so I can just zero the scale. And remember, we want to have, for the most accurate weights, we want to have our baby naked. So I'm going to take off her gown and then get her diaper. Ready. Okay, so I'm going to lay her down and remove that diaper and have it close by, because if she gets cold, she might start TTing. So you have to know when it gives me a weight, this one is in kilograms. I can change it to pounds. So she's 2.10 pounds or 1.20 kilograms. Okay, gonna get her diaper back on her so she doesn't TT everywhere. Remember, if this were an older infant that was sitting up, I would want to maintain their safety while they're on the scale. So if I lay them down, I want to be ready to catch them, because I can't touch them, it'll add weight to them. I want to be ready to catch them. If they're sitting up, they're gonna tumble over. So I wanna be ready and not touching and be ready to catch them and maintain that safety. So that is weighing our babies. Then we're gonna come over and talk about getting some vital signs on this little one. So I'm gonna get her back dressed so she doesn't get cold. All right, so for her blood pressure, I have my Dynamap machine that we're all familiar with. I take my blood pressure cuff, and I'm gonna line the artery up on the inside of the leg, wrap it on her lower leg to get the blood pressure. Okay, remember, once they're old enough and start walking, we may move to the arm at that point for blood pressure. Next, we have their pulse ox. So I will take my pulse oximeter sticker. We prefer to use the foot on babies, because think about it, if I put it on their hand or their finger, they like to suck on it, and this is an electrical device, so we don't want to be electrocuting any babies, so I'm going to use the foot. So I have to line up my two dots. Their toe usually is too small, so I can just line up the top dot with the bottom dot on the side of their foot and wrap it around, and I'll be able to get my reading. Okay, if it's a patient that's on continuous pulse ox, I can put this on them and then put a sock over their foot and just have them wear it that way. All right, then for infants' temperature, remember, we typically do not obtain oral temperatures, and that's because babies cannot follow instructions. So you can't say, okay, stick this under your tongue. So typically we're gonna go for an axillary temp. Okay, so I would get that temp on sweet baby. Remember, we cannot get routine rectal temps unless we have an order on the floor. So we would not want to do that. In hospital policy, if there's a change in the patient's condition, we can obtain a rectal temp, but if we're gonna be getting them routinely, we need to have a physician's order for that. Okay, so I've got her vital signs now. So now we're gonna move to one method of comforting infants. A lot of infants are used to being in their mama's nice warm belly, and so they like to be warm and they like to be tight. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna give this baby to her mama, and I'm gonna get her blanket ready to swaddle her. So all you do is pull out your blanket. Okay, I'm gonna fold down the corner of the side, make a triangle, and then I can lay this in my baby's crib. Okay, so I have it down in her crib. I'm gonna get her back from her mama and put her head above it. So the back of the blanket is coming behind her shoulders. Okay, we don't want it too high where this is gonna cover her airway, but we have it just perfect under the back of her shoulders. Now you will see, we're just doing it for comfort. In the ICUs, the NICU, the PICU, they take their arm and will wrap it nice and tight, because they're using it to keep the baby from, if they're intubated or have an NG tube, to get it out. We're just gonna do a simple swaddle. So remember, the tighter, the better. So we take one corner and wrap it over the baby, under their booty, nice and tight. bring up the bottom corner and we can go and wrap it tight. And then we have our last side that we're gonna bring across the baby. I'm gonna get it nice and tight around her. And now she's snug as a bug. All right, so that is the simple technique of swaddling that y'all will get plenty of practice with in clinical this semester. I can always use swaddling as a form of holding, a holding technique too. I don't want to call it a restraint, but I can use it as a holding technique. So I'm going to pull this baby's foot out. If I have lab work to obtain on a little bitty infant, I might do what we call a heel stick on this baby. So instead of doing a venipuncture, it's very similar to a finger stick. I can use the heel of the baby. So let me turn her so y'all will be able to see how I have her. So with this swaddle, you see her arms are restrained for me, this leg is, so I can kind of pretty much do everything by myself at this point. So with this baby, I have the lancet here. This is called a tenderfoot. Let me open it so I can show y'all what it looks like. So on it, it's pink and blue. I just pull the activator out, okay? And then you will see arrows that show you where my needle is. Okay, to stick, just like a finger stick, you push this button down. So you wanna make sure your finger's not under here because you're gonna stick your finger. All right, so I have my baby all ready to go. I've washed my hands and applied my gloves. We also, in our supply rooms, keep little bitty, they're tiny heel warmers is what they're called, and it's a plastic pad that we can activate and it becomes warm. I would probably place it on the baby's heel, and that's just gonna cause some vasodilation and help her foot bleed just a little bit better for me. Okay, so our tubes for heel sticks look a little bit different. They're microtainers. So this yellow one, you'll see it has a scooper on the end of it. Okay, so we're gonna scoop the blood. Or I have this microtainer that has a straw on the end. Okay, so that straw will actually suck up the blood. You just have to be mindful if it's bleeding really slowly, it may clot in the tubing. So my preference is one of the scoopers that we use. All right, so I would take this baby's heel with my gloves on, get my alcohol swab, clean the heel really, really well. Okay, take my lancet and line up on the side of the heel. And 1, 2, 3, there we go. And she's bleeding really, really good for me. All right, so I'm gonna squeeze out, just like a finger stick, squeeze out that blood. I'm gonna wipe off my first little drop. Milk it, milk it, milk it, get that next drop, and I'm gonna start scooping. Milk, 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 scoop. Milk, 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 scoop. Until I have my container filled up to the line that I need, okay? Another thing I want to remind you about when we're doing procedures on babies, y'all learned in Miss Morgan's pain lecture about sweeties. So this is what the sweeties containers look like on the floor. So remember, it's just sugar water in here and babies love it, okay? Just as a reminder, if a baby does not take a pacifier, do not be the bad nurse that introduces a pacifier to the baby, okay? I can take an oral syringe and suck up a couple drops and drop it in the baby's mouth, and they'll kind of suck on it real good while I'm sticking them, and they'll never even know I stuck them. If they do take a pacifier, that makes it even better. You just dip their passy in it and stick it in their mouth, and they're good to go. All right, so the last thing we're gonna talk about with the infant is one of my most favorite things, and that is the urine bag. So before we do that, we're gonna talk about how we obtain output from infants. So infants do wear diapers, so we typically educate the moms or the parents, caregivers at the bedside. Anytime you change a diaper on your baby, just roll it up for me and save it for me on the side of the room. I will come in and get it. Okay, so what I do is Mama has saved this little diaper for me, and she has it rolled up, sit in the corner of the room. So I have gloves on, I go and get it, and I take it over to the scale. Okay, so whenever I get to the diaper scale, I turn it on. And I will tell you 1 gram is equal to 1 milliliter. So our diaper scales in the hospital actually measure for us that way. This baby scale is gonna weigh in kilos, so I have to be mindful. So, and this one is so light, it's not gonna pick up for me, so I'm gonna have to All right, so I've got 69. Okay, so 69 is how much this diaper and the urine in it weighs. The important thing I have to know is that 69 is the amount of the clean diaper too, or the diaper. So I have to know what size diaper my baby wears. So when I go into the room, I see a size 2, or you can look at, if it's a random patient and you're just weighing their diaper, on the diapers, it will have a number and that'll tell you what size the diaper is. So when I go into my room, my utility room on my floor, where we weigh the diapers, there's always a little chart above the scale, and it has every single size diaper that we use in the children's hospital in it, and it tells you how much that clean diaper weighs. Okay, so if I went and looked at a size 2, we're gonna say that a clean size 2 weighs 20 grams, okay? So I just weighed this one and it was 69 grams. So I take that 69 minus my 20 grams of clean diaper, and that leaves me 49 grams of urine in this diaper. So I would go into Epic and I'm gonna document my 49 milliliters of urine output, okay? So I hope that's clear for you. If not, you'll get great practice with it on the floor. All right, so one other way that we measure output, or we obtain urine samples on babies, is a little bit different compared to adults. So you know, in the adult world, for a clean catch urine, for a urinalysis, we just give the adults this cup, teach them how to clean themselves, and hey, go pee in this cup, okay? Well, for this baby, I can't say, hey baby, go pee in this cup, okay? Or I can't say, hey mama, catch your pee in this cup. So what we have to do is get a little creative. So I've told everybody, there's a nurse that lives somewhere on some nice island now, making a ton of money, because she created what we call a U-bag, or a urine bag. So this is what it looks like. Okay, it's simply what it is, it catches the urine, okay? Very easy, a nice little baggie that's gonna stick to our patient. So all I do is take my urine bag and a couple of clean cotton balls and stick in the urine bag, okay? These are gonna help absorb and catch the urine. So all I do is I've washed my hands and I'm gonna put my gloves on to do this. All right, so I get my infant in the position that I need to be able to get to the area that I need to apply the bag. I've got to clean her with a wipey really well to make sure there's no fecal bacteria or anything that's gonna get in the way. Also, I need to make sure she completely dries, because I don't wanna stick sticky tape around her legs and it leak, or it doesn't stick well because it's wet, okay? So I just simply pull off the stickers and I will apply this bag to her, okay? Girls are kind of hard because you have to guesstimate, okay? So when I apply it, I wanna go from top to bottom and create a good seal so if she poops, it doesn't get in there, okay? And I don't wanna cover her rectum. All right, so I'll create that, have that good seal, and I'm ready to go. A male patient, a little baby boy, is gonna be a little bit different. This hole that we have is very, very small. So I need to be able to get his penis of the baby and his scrotum in this hole, okay? If I don't, then I could create or cut off the blood supply to his scrotum. So you wanna make sure for little bitty babies that you do get both the penis and scrotum in the bag and you're not squeezing anything that's gonna cut off blood flow, okay? So once I get this applied, I put her diaper back on and I give her to the caregiver. I'm gonna say, Mama, Daddy, let me know when she TT's in this bag and I'll come and get it. Okay, so it's been just a few minutes later, a little while later, and Mama says, hey, Nurse Chelsea, we have some TT in the bag. Okay, so I go in the room and I'm like, yay, we got some TT. Okay, so there's our bag when I open her diaper, what it looks like with the TT in it. So I'm simply gonna remove my U-bag from this baby, sit it to the side, and I would get her cleaned up and put a new fresh diaper on. Okay. Then this is one of the most satisfying parts of being a pediatric nurse. You take your specimen cup and open it, and we have a 60 milliliter syringe. I remove the plunger from my syringe. Okay. Take my cup, because I don't want TT leaking everywhere. I'm gonna grab my urine-filled cotton balls and apply, making sound effects, goodness. And stick them in, and you see I'm making a big mess, but stick them into the cup. And then again, like I said, this is the most satisfying part of being a peds nurse. I simply get to squeeze the urine out of the cotton balls. I think this, yeah. Oh my gosh, I didn't take off the end of the, so you would, it still works, but that's why I'm making a mess. I did not take off the tip of the catheter syringe. Usually with lab, we're using them and they're already off. Okay, so I would squeeze my urine into my cup. Then I'm ready to close my cup, and I can label this and send it down, or I can put it in the proper containers to send to lab. Okay, and that's how I get my TT. So y'all will get hands-on practice with this. It's a lot of fun. Y'all are gonna see why I say it's the most rewarding part of being a pediatric nurse. You never thought you'd get to squeeze urine out of cotton balls. Okay, so I've got my baby cleaned up and got her a clean diaper on. I'm gonna get her swaddled back up and give her to her caregiver. So those are the skills that we are covering in the infant station. So I hope this gives you an idea and you get to look at it and see just a little bit about how we care for infants.